Yeah. Uh. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going for Two Live, Monday night, 2-point conversion, Monday Night Football, pregame show. This title is really long. I'm just doing that on purpose now. But I'm also Kyle Sutter, so I'm very silly. But my very serious and awesome co-host is Gladys Louise Tyler. How are you doing, Gladys?
I'm just peachy. It's just peachy. Just great. How are you? What's the weather in Canada? What's the weather in Canada?
It was snowing yesterday, so.
No way, really? You guys got snow before we did? Well, it snowed in the mountains, though. So.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, well, there's definitely parts of Canada where they've been getting snow a lot earlier than myself. So.
Damn it! We're supposed to get snow Wednesday. I'm excited.
Okay, just before Halloween. Yeah, no, yeah.
Dude, they have this strange thing out here where people celebrate Halloween last weekend. I don't know what's going on.
Well, because I think it's on a Thursday, right? So people it's weird that next Friday, the November 1st would be closer, but because it's after the 31st, it feels like, oh no, you've missed out. You have to do it before the 31st, and anything after the 31st is super tacky. Dude. That's the message I got from everyone, like all the NFL players, or not all of them, but some of them showing up to the game in costumes and stuff like that.
Oh, really? I missed that. I was looking at dogs in costumes.
I can't remember who it was. I was watching the NFL Network, not Red Zone, but the free one.
Oh.
Just kind of like Red Zone, but like not as good. So it's just fine for me. Like I just want football. So I don't
really weird. I mean,
Game Day Live. That's what they call it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna watch that, and then I watched the ESPN, whatever their pregame is, because I really think Randy Moss and Rex Ryan give, and the guy from New England, Teddy Bruschi, give like more nuanced points than the guys. I think the guys on Game Day Live are just like talk show hosts, is what they remind me of.
Wait, Game Day Live is what? Is that the?
That's NFL Network.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like the pregame stuff. I mean, like they have like this other thing where it's not Kurt Warner and all those guys. Like,
okay.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not them. It's usually like Patrick Claiborne and like one of the like during the week news hosts will usually with the player do commentary, and it's kind of like how Scott Hansen does it with the Red Zone.
Mm-hmm.
But like they have different shifts. So like the first block games is one duo, the next block games is a couple other guys. Like I think they had Brian Baldinger on this week.
I like Brian Baldinger. He's good.
Yeah, no, he's great. So like that's fine. That's good for that. It's just if you don't want to pay for Red Zone, we'll give you this. So they gave us that. Well, and to be fair, by the time the second block of games happened, because the Packers game wasn't on, so I was mostly watching that for the first block. Second block, though, I went to the Romo game because it was Daniels versus Williams, and I mostly just watched it for Jaden Daniels. My goodness. I am so happy right now. I don't think I've ever been more excited for the end of a football game since 9 years ago. Aaron Rodgers, that Thursday night game against Detroit.
Okay.
The Packers got swept at home by the division. Khalil Mack, I think it was his first year with the Bears. They beat the Packers in Green Bay. The Vikings and the Lions both beat the Packers in Green Bay, and one of those might have been Matt Patricia. Might have still been Caldwell, actually. Well, anyway, and they in Detroit on a Thursday night, Aaron Rodgers Hail Marys to Richard Rodgers, and man, disappointed the Detroit Lions fans.
Dude, that fucking cornerback's an idiot. Like
Tyreek Stevenson, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
That was ridiculous. The game was still going on. The team should fine him for, I don't know, like 3 paychecks or something. That's crazy.
I was going to say they should just cut him. Like, I'm pretty sure you can find better players.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure not Dan Quinn. I'm sure that Eberflus wasn't really happy about it.
I mean,
that's so ridiculous.
Matt Eberflus is an idiot, though. So, like, it's another blown loss with horrible defense. I mean,
they should make him watch that over and over again in the game, and like when they go for their game, when each show it to the whole team, not just like to the cornerbacks, not to the secondary.
Oh, for sure, yeah, you got to call that out on the player. But also, I mean, what were they doing on the play before the Hail Mary? Right, like because they weren't really in like super good Hail Mary range. Like, I mean, he barely got that to the end zone on there, right? So like just before they threw a like quick 10-yard out. undefended. The player was wide open. It was the easiest. They had 6 seconds left. They did it to perfection, gave themselves like 2 seconds on the clock. Like it literally took nothing to just gain that extra 15 yards to basically put them at midfield to be able to actually throw the Hail Mary. And it was like, if you just guarded a wide receiver and didn't let him just run free open with no one covering him, you probably still win that game. Because like then they if they don't have that play with 6 seconds left, they probably have to do the like, okay, throw it short and then the hook and ladder, and like that one game with the Patriots. Kenyon Drake, man, what a player. That's because it's Kenyon Drake. Much as I love Ryan Robinson, I don't really think the Commanders have a Kenyon Drake to currently do that. But like it was the like percentage of that is much lower than just throwing into the end zone. And like if like so this, I mean, I think Eberflus is one of the worst head coaches in the NFL. So if not probably the worst head coach in the NFL. So like I think he's got no business there. Caleb's gonna fail to develop until they get rid of him. But because not only is his defense bad, like the offense is bad because he picks bad offensive coordinators. I think it's Shane Waldron's a little bit better than Luke Getsy, but like you literally can't. Like the bar was so low with Getsy. This guy had never called plays before, still doesn't know how to run a proper offense. Like so, the bar was so low of okay, can you be can you actually fill your duties of being a professional offensive coordinator? Yes. That's much better improvement. I didn't say you have to be good at it, but you can actually do the job of an offensive coordinator properly, pretty badly, but properly. That's our man. But they still can't get to good coordinators or good coaches around him. I just think he's incompetent in almost every facet of being a head coach. That's Matt Eberflus. I think the loss is on him more than anyone because.
Well, I think that it was already proven that he was a bad coach when they sent Fields, to Pittsburgh, and he was so much better.
Instant.
But I think, like this weekend, especially in the NFL, was just like a shit show. Like that play, shit show. New England beating New York Jets. Don't get me wrong, loved it. Shit show. Fucking Boza
with Jacoby Brissett. It wasn't Drake May that came in. Jacoby Brissett won that game.
Jacoby Brissett winning that game. Fucking Boza coming hijacking Purdy's post game shit show. I mean,
Nick Bosa's a shit show. Like that guy is just a moron.
God, he is a fucking moron, and that people are surprised that he's a coward and a moron makes me very sad. It means you're not paying attention.
Especially that sort of thinking philosophy that usually goes hand in hand.
I don't really. I mean, I care. I care that you follow someone that's a felon and a rapist and whatever else. But if you follow them, that's fine. That's what you do. But when you go to your post-game interview, which is your spotlight, wear the hat then, and then explain it then. You know what I mean? Don't take over Purdy's and run out and then say, "Oh, I'm not going to discuss it." Fuck you. Then don't do it. Don't if you can't give your opinion, don't fucking do it. And
because clearly it was important enough to share. So like, if it was, why don't you give more? Because basically, what we all view him as, we all think Nick Bosa is a racist. Sorry.
Oh no, we don't think Nick Bosa is racist. We know Nick Bosa is a racist.
Sure, but like that's the public opinion perception is that he's a racist, right?
My whole thing
he's done nothing to dispel that, and that would have been the moment where if you had something really smart to say to defend this to make us think otherwise, that would have been the moment. Which I'm guessing. And I'm assuming you guessed this too. It's because he doesn't have anything to say to dispel the fact that he's a racist, and he knows if he went out there and spoke about it, he'd look even worse.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was the big thing during draft. I wanted to see because he was clearly highly regarded. If a team like Atlanta or a team like Philly that has a high African American population within their fan base would draft him, like would anyone have the balls to draft him? Because the tweets that him and his then girlfriend before draft had out that, again, instead of defending him, they just take the tweets down. If you can't defend what you're saying, don't fucking say it. Like, I don't care. It's just a whole shit show. It's a whole shit show. And Brock Purdy, he looks like, I kind of felt bad for him. Then I kind of felt, well, I wonder if this is like something that they're just used to. That, you know what I mean? Like, they're just like, that's Bosa. Like the Harrison Butker thing. That's Harrison Butker. That's how he is. And so it's kind of accepted. But I mean, they have very smart people on that team.
Not even accepted, tolerated, I think might be a bit.
Yeah, tolerated is probably. because Purdy kind of looked like
and you know what? They tolerate it because he's such a good player. I think that's the undeniable part is this guy's a great player. So if it was some scrub that's barely making the team doing that, he's probably not making the team. They just cut him, and then it's not even a problem, right? But it's Nick Bosa, so you're kind of stuck. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, they took him second overall, so the only team that had a chance to take him otherwise was the Cardinals, and they had no choice but to take Kyler Murray since they just figured to just like colossally. I fumbled the word completely. Floundered and fumbled. But that's how bad the pick of Josh Rosen was. I had to invent a word on the spot in such an awful, horrible way just to describe how bad the Josh Rosen pick was. Like all-time word. Like people talk about Jamarcus Russell and like I mean this was 10th overall, so it wasn't first overall, but it's just as bad when the team had to immediately abort and spend a first overall pick the next year. If they had just drafted Lamar Jackson, that would have been interesting because then they probably do take Nick Bosa. But then how much better is their team right now? And I've always wondered that. Like, what if they just made the right QB choice way back in the day and didn't have to redo over with Kyler Murray? Where would Kyler have gone if not Arizona? That's also like an interesting consequence of that. I mean, I don't think the Ravens are dumb enough to take Josh Rosen. So maybe maybe they wait a year with Flacco and maybe they're the team that takes Kyler Murray.
I think he would have been okay in Baltimore.
Under Harbaugh, sure. Yeah, way better coaching than Kingsbury. So yeah,
I mean, if we've learned anything this year, it's like coaching matters so much. So much. And offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators matter so much. Like everyone thought, oh, Mike Zimmer, we're gonna be okay.
I love how you went. You could have gone so many places. You went to the Cowboys first. It's very
appropriate. Because they suck so bad. They suck so bad. And I'm so like I'm never happy when someone loses their job because although fuck it, when a head coach gets fired, he still gets paid. So I mean, yeah.
I mean, and that's not so different than the business world, right? Like when mass CEOs get fired, they get like $1 million severance packages too, right? So it's not so uncommon in the ultra rich billionaire world that people still get paid.
I don't know. It never existed in that ultra rich
world. Well, neither do I. I have no idea. Like if I were to get fired, there goes my paycheck. Gotta get a job, right? Like that's how most people operate. And actually, it's funny. I was thinking about this. Like total not football related. Do you think Batman's a superhero?
Batman. Do I think Batman is a superhero?
Yes, because I've heard some people debate it because like part of it is he doesn't have superpowers is basically.
But he has so much money.
Well, that's the thing. Being born a billionaire is kind of a superpower because it lets you do things that the rest of the world can't do. So like Iron Man, Batman, they don't have powers. Yeah, they do. They're billionaires. Money. Everything they get as resources and their training they go through is all brought to them by billion-dollar corporations. So Wayne Enterprises /
you think
Stark
the Black Widow is a superhero?
I mean, she's a super assassin, and I guess she's but then she's now used that assassin power to be a hero. So you could argue with that too, right? Like most people aren't trained to kill as good as she is, and that's not necessarily a good positive thing. But like, I suppose like super is like, not normal, but also clearly better, right? And like, she's gone through things that aren't normal, and it's made her so much better at being violent and kicking ass.
See, I would, because that was the whole thing in my head. Like, I would consider her a superhero. So if I would consider her a superhero, then I would consider Batman a superhero.
Hawkeye's a superhero because he has super good accuracy. Like most quarterbacks don't even have that good accuracy, other than Jaden Daniels, of course. But
I wonder if I sat him. I need to check some of it. I think I may have sat him.
I almost sat him for Russell Wilson. But we talked about this on the Sunday morning stream. Dan Quinn came out earlier in the week and said they weren't going to play him unless he was 100%. And I mean, you could tell he was in pain, but I know we're almost at a couple of these passes seem inaccurate. It's funny. He said that, I don't know, like a couple of these, like the rib might be an issue. Then he just throws a perfect bomb. It's like, and everyone's like, never mind. Okay, he's fine. Okay. He's good now. He worked through it.
Oh my God. I didn't see the game. I saw the pass, of course, because they kept playing the quarterback.
He made a lot of good passes in that game, to be honest.
Yeah, so what I hear. And I think I set him in one league and didn't sit him in another. And the one I didn't sit him in, I also sat Kirk Cousins in.
And I mean, like that. Those are always tough, like because it was a 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because it was a 2 o'clock Mountain Time game with Daniels. Like if your other option played before, you didn't know if he was playing, you might have to like default to just play.
Plus, lately I've been like bartending on Sunday, so once I get in the bar, I don't have my phone. I leave it in
Yeah,
the
so
car.
like a questionable decision like that, if you thought he was going to be out, you're better off.
Yeah, I'm better
For
off
me, it
sitting him.
was okay. It was between Daniels or Russell Wilson tonight, so I had the full. Okay, he's in. That quote from Dan Quinn earlier in the week gave me confidence to just say, yeah, I'm gonna play Daniels. I think I ranked him on the spot. I ranked him at QB 11. Right now, he's QB 11 on the week.
Oh, really?
Go up. Yeah. So
And fantasy points?
Yeah.
Who's won? Oh, Kurt. Is it Kirk Cousins?
Might be Kurt. I don't know. Could it be Josh Allen? I know he had a couple touchdowns. I'll check back. Yeah, it's funny. We used to do this on the show all the time. Like we count the fantasy stuff. That was Dan. Dan was so good. I'll take a look and I'll get back.
Oh, I can do that. I can do that. I think that it was a really like week 7 was just a ridiculous week. I mean, it was ridiculous fantasy week. This week, there were like a lot of injuries. I think like Jacksonville lost basically their entire wide receiving crew, which sucked. Jordan Love went down, which sucked because I had Love in a thing. And there's one other injury, but it wasn't as off-putting. You know what I mean? Like, except for the New England-New York Jets game, people who won were generally supposed to win, or generally was thought to win.
Of course, it's Jalen Hurts. He had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. No, I should have known that. I knew that too. Because it's funny. Like one league, I have Jalen Hurts and I lost, and I have Jaden Daniels.
Who did they have?
Good quarterbacks too. Like I think they both scored like close to 30.
Okay.
I lost by like 40. Like it wasn't close. Like I'm hurt by a couple of key injuries to receivers, and it was like it's like we start 12, so depth is sort of an issue when Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Marquise Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco are all hurt. So while quarterback was good, the rest of my team wasn't. They had Herbert and they had Dak Prescott, so he didn't do that well. But Kate Otten, I had to go against Kate Otten and Cedric Tillman, so that really screwed me.
That did screw you. Yeah. But Stephon Diggs was the other wide receiver.
Well, and I got Diggs on that team, and he did okay. But yeah,
I thought he got hurt early. He didn't. He got hurt later in the game.
Late enough. I mean, he put 10.6 points for me, which was
that's not bad.
The best receiver I had in my lineup.
So some guy wants me to trade Tyreek Hill for Garrett Wilson, which I mean,
so is that a redraft or dynasty?
Redraft. You know, I don't play dynasty. You know, you're the only dynasty.
Okay, well, yeah, that's true. Well, I didn't know if it was that league though. I guess you don't have Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, no.
So no, I know with Tua back now, I think
that's what I think that this is a sad fact of most of the leagues I play in, but most leagues I play in, I'm the only girl. And so they send bullshit. Like he's been doing this for like a month and I've been going, no. I mean, and he just keeps doing it.
The truth is, up to this point, Garrett Wilson is outscoring Tyreek Hill most every week.
Yeah, but they didn't have Tua.
And that's the why, right? Like there's context there. If you had done this trade immediately when Hill got hurt, this would have made sense, right? Like all the weeks you could have had extra production from Wilson would have made it worth it. But now that Tua's back, now it just because that's been the case up to this point. Like through 2 weeks with Devontae Adams on the team, Garrett Wilson has not been a top 20 receiver for the Jets.
No,
it's been close, but he's not getting 22 targets anymore.
Is I didn't see the Miami game. Wait, they lost, right? Yeah. Is Tua wearing a Guardian hat? Is he wearing the Guardian helmet?
No.
What? No. Can they make him wear it?
No.
I guess not.
No, part of the NFLPA. I mean, unless new collective bargaining agreement might mandate equipment. So 2031, maybe.
They need to do that. But they can't watch a game until he puts one of those helmets on.
I mean, I guess up to this point that we just don't have enough data to know is it truly safer? Because I think Wosu Koromaru, JOK from the Browns, he wears one and he got hurt. I don't know if it was a concussion, but if it was, it kind of concussion. I don't think it was a concussion, so it doesn't really help us in the context. But no concussion context.
The Browns, Jameis Winston. Good Lord. He should have had like 2 interceptions easily.
Bo Nix. So you're right with Cousins. He was QB3 this week. Bo Nix is so far the QB2 on the week.
Yeah, Bo Nix. Yeah, Carolina. shit show.
Yeah, no, it was known. That was the matchup.
Deontay Johnson not playing. Adam Thielen not playing. I mean,
the best defensive player out for the year.
Out for the year. So let's put Bryce Young back in and see what he can do. Your offensive line.
Gotta say he wasn't bad. It was one of his better games. So, but also, is that the sitting, right? Like him resting and just learning and watching to a certain extent might help if you get some reps under you and then you're able to kind of sit back and then you go back in and maybe he has learned something in those games that he had to sit. Which Colts is it maybe time to sit Anthony Richardson, not because you're benching him and giving up on him, but because maybe for his development, watching a quarterback like Joe Flacco do it like up close when he's active on a game day, maybe that helps him out.
Well, I don't think it helps Anthony Richardson's cause that he said that he asked to come out of the game because he was tired. I mean, it's a long game there, buddy. You got to build up that stamina.
Well, I mean, I assume it was after a couple like long runs by him, right? Like, but he's also viewed as this like physical specimen of a quarterback, exactly. Right? So, like, yeah, you're really the one guy who shouldn't be saying that.
Who shouldn't be tired because why? Why? I mean, that division, they can still make the playoffs. I love Anthony Richardson. I think that he at one time will be a good quarterback, but he's only played like 10 NFL games. I mean, he's only played 10. The expectations were too high for him. I don't care where he went.
I think they could have won the division if they won that game. Now they're falling behind it though, and you've lost already one of the tiebreakers to one of these key teams.
Yeah, so
like this was maybe one of the most important games of the season for the Colts. They really like sets them on a path one way or the other. And I mean,
they didn't get blown out, which is
that was within their grasp. I mean, if Joe Flacco plays, is it close enough game that he actually wins that?
Well, I mean, probably.
Now, I still not sure that guy was down by contact. That on that like that botched lateral, like it really didn't look like he was touched, and like that they kind of got robbed of that touchdown.
I think they did. Do you think the refs have been glaringly bad this year?
I mean, I think that's not even a case because the refs didn't call him down. Like they let that play out, and it was review that called it down. But I mean, it feels like I don't think it's any worse than before. But I think the problem is evident that the NFL isn't investing enough, and I think investing time, investing resources in stuff like the hip drop tackle. It hasn't been flagged once, but it's been fined after the fact like a half dozen times already. But I also think it's super hard to call in the moment. You need to like, these like 3-4 criteria have to be present. That's really tough for one referee to be looking at all those criteria spots at the same time. And sometimes like leverage points, like a lot of the times when you have like refs on the sideline, right, they confer before they make a decision. Okay, I saw this from this angle, but I couldn't see where this back foot was. And like, okay, well, I saw his back foot in, but like I didn't know if he had the ball, right? So like they have to like together give both their viewpoints to, okay, he caught that in bounds. So like I feel like the hip drop tackle is kind of like that. And I feel like the NFL rushed to say, okay, we're banning it next year. But before they did that, they didn't really consult the referees on how are the refs going to call it. They're just, okay, you have to call this now. And they really still haven't figured out how to call it because like even on the broadcast booth, right? None of these guys are immediately saying, oh, hip drop tackle. They're saying it after they see the replay. Oh, wait a minute. That meets the criteria, right? So it seems like it's a call that's like almost impossible to make live.
But they could use like this, like the college uses for targeting. Like if you think it's close, you call it and then have the review it. I mean, I don't think it's that close of a legal tackle that if you see what looks like a hip drop tackle, you call it and then have the review it. And if it is, it is. And if it's not, it's not.
I mean, the NHL does that too. Like if you can call a major penalty and then like review it to make sure it is in fact a major. So yeah, no, that would make sense. And then thus, but it feels like again the NFL just like rushed to say, okay, we're banning this without really consulting the PA on it or consulting the refs about it and like how are we actually going to administer this? And then it seems like they're still figuring it out, right? So it's stuff like that. Like I still think the biggest culprit for why reffing is bad is the league itself. Because and I think that's just one example of why. Like you're telling the refs to make these decisions, but you're not really clear on how they're actually going to make those decisions. So like, and none of that impacted like the decision making process of what is the rules and what isn't. So it feels like they need to have better ref consultation when they cover things like making decisions on rules, because they need to know how are we actually going to implement it? How can we actually enforce it? It's great having rules. If you have no ability to enforce them, they're freaking useless.
Rules.
They don't rule sometimes, but no rule against this. But apparently Deontay Johnson isn't getting traded, or is likely not getting traded, says Jamie. I don't know if that's something Jamie's just.
Is that supposed to be most likely getting traded, and is that supposed to be an M instead of an N?
Wow, I didn't even know that. So yeah, Jamie, you're gonna have to clarify that one. Not likely getting traded or most likely getting traded?
I think most likely. I think that's why he sat out this last game here.
You see, if the refs are robot, there would be more accurate calls. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Who's programming the robots?
Exactly.
If it's the NFL, they've shown no ability to get this stuff right.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't think so. Like a robot is only as good as the person who programs.
The programmer.
And the NFL, I think to a certain extent, is the reason to blame for why refereeing is so bad, because it's not like it's just one ref group, right? Like we're not singling out one unit. It's kind of across the board. Are these refs being properly trained? Like, and I know NFL teams are starting to bring refs to training camp to help out, like especially teams that need to work on discipline. Okay, bring the refs there so they can constantly be calling penalties. So in training camp before we get to games, we can be working on those things. But I feel like there has to be more just like ref training in general together, like every year, like how the players are trained, right? Because like we talk about how preseason reps matter, and like how because teams don't have them, they look so sloppy to start the year.
Right.
To a certain extent, the refereeing's like that too. Like you need to get these guys in a good, proper, like you would. That's why training camps exist, right? Like if the PA really didn't care about all that stuff, they would just not have training camps. Like no practices, just play the game. Like that's all we do, right? It wouldn't be a very good product. You need the practice reps each week. You need the training camp reps. Feels like you have to, because refereeing is arguably an even harder job than the players, because it's not just executing your job. When you're a player, it's very clear. Do the thing for my team to win. And on either side, you're just trying to win. When you're the referee, you're trying to have the neutral balance. And that's the hardest thing to figure out, because you're not leaning to one extreme or the other. It would be easy if you're reffing with the favorite, right? Like I'm going to just call the super obvious stuff on them, but this other team I'm calling every little tacky thing. Like you could easily lean on either of those extremes, having to the neutral find the right call. The obvious calls are easy. Oh, this is obviously not a penalty. This is obviously a penalty. That's easy. It's the in-between stuff. And that's the stuff that really has to be hammered out in training camp and refereeing training camps. Man, we barely talked football. We're talking refereeing this whole time. But I just think the league is mostly to blame for the referees being bad. It's like, sure, the referees themselves, but we talk about it with players, right? Like when players are playing bad, it's just as much on the coaches for not getting these players prepared. And I think it's the same thing with the refs. It's just as much on the league for not properly training these referees.
I agree.
He is going to be traded. I mean, that seems like it's.
I think it's obvious. It's just who is going. I don't know. Like,
I mean, here's the thing. I keep saying the Commanders needed to really give Jaden Daniels a second good receiver, because, like, okay, Noah Brown made the Hail Mary catch, but like, you probably shouldn't be relying on Noah Brown that much.
And it was really shouldn't tapped into his arm, so he had a little help.
Yeah, exactly. They need a legit second receiver. And so Deontay would be perfect for there opposite Terry McLaurin. I wanted Cooper Kupp there. That would be awesome for Jaden Daniels.
That would be so awesome for Jaden Daniels.
Who knows? Like his teams are making moves. Like we've already seen 2 receivers traded. So like Washington, get on that before like the selling teams with receivers. Like there are not a lot of teams selling receivers. So like it's kind of a seller's market in terms of they can just pick the best prices. So get on there and make that change.
But I think the Rams now have a new, like, it was really shitty.
They're 2 games back of the division lead.
Yeah, they still have a chance in that division.
Cardinals are leading the division at 4-4.
Oh my God!
You talk about how good the NFC West is. Not this year.
Oh, and I don't see them trading Kupp now. I mean, I don't.
Speaking of division winners, Skynet programs the robots. You see, and if Skynet programs the ref robots, I definitely don't want them. I don't want them to exist. That's a bad thing, Jamie. Now, maybe to get rid of all the humans, that might be a good thing because we're probably the biggest problem on this planet. So I suppose like that logic is why robots are so scary, because we know how awful we are. So we know if they ever came to be, like we're target number one. Like the rest of the animals on this planet, they'll be spared because they don't destroy the planet like we do. Yeah, Christian Kirk was rumored to be traded. Obviously, fractured collarbone, out for the year. So sucks for Christian Kirk. I heard one rumor is, in a way to keep Tank Bigsby on the field, Travis Etienne now becomes your slot receiver. And then he can get paid like a receiver next year and not a running back. So I'm sure he'll be down for it too, coming off the injuries.
Yeah, dude, the Deebo Samuel role.
The reverse of it, essentially, really. But like, we don't need to give him carries anymore because Tank Bigsby's so good. So just go out there and run routes. It'll help your long-term health going into your free agency. And then you can maybe, if you do well, maybe you can even like have that be a reason you get paid more money, because teams will now pay you as a receiver, not as a running back.
What are they, 2-6 or something?
Yeah. After the Packers win, yeah.
There's so many like.
And then the Avengers ruined it at the end, Jamie, right? By bringing everyone back, and now it's even worse than ever, and we're all doomed. Good job.
There's so many good quarterbacks that are just being wasted by bad coaching, and I hate them. But Burrow's one of them. That I didn't even understand what's going on there. Don't mind it, but don't understand it.
It's funny because apparently these bad coaches can reach the Super Bowls, like Zach Taylor and Nick Sirianni in Philly. Although, I mean, the fact that they beat the Bengals, like that's maybe Nick Sirianni's hot seat is cooled now. Like, they're looking like they could be again primed to maybe take a wild card spot this
year. Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's still a dick. He's still a child. Nick Sirianni has like a 12-year-old kid that you just want to slap and say, sit down and shut up. So who's coaching that team? Because I'm pretty sure it's not him.
Well, yeah, he like it's not Kellen Moore. Yeah, it is Kellen Moore.
Yeah, it is Kellen Moore. Yeah.
Like Kellen Moore is in charge of the offense entirely. Vic Fangio's in charge of the defense. It seems like Sirianni's the game decision maker. Okay, are we going for it on fourth down? Or are we kicking field goals? Like all the head coaching decisions you make constantly in a game, and like the I decide the personnel kind of thing. Like he's probably more involved in deciding who's on the field than you're just defaulting to your position.
Yeah, but didn't he come out and say that he was making some defensive calls? And Fangio was like, no.
I mean, to a certain extent, like the non-play calling head coaches can still tell their offensive or defensive coordinator, okay, in tight situations, I'm looking for this type of play call. Okay, I'm going to give you this specific. And I can see
actually think that Vic Fangio is going to listen to something Nick Sirianni says to him on the defensive side. Come on.
I mean, if that, well, I suppose how much of that, you know what, if he just out of the blue said it, you're right, maybe not. But if this was discussed as part of Fangio coming, okay, I'm hiring you as defensive coordinator, but I am the head coach, so I might tell you to do things during the game. And like, but that's the thing, like, if that was the agreement that Fangio agreed to, then he has no choice, because if he doesn't, then he's getting fired, right? Like, this is what they agreed to.
I don't think
that all depends on how those interviews went. I don't know what was discussed.
There's no way Fangio would agree to that. Like, especially after the ruckus, the walkout.
I suppose you do it if you believed in the guy. So to your point, yeah, how do you believe in Nick Sirianni, right? Like, enough to do that? Did he want to be in Philly so bad? Like, okay, this is a team I think I can win a Super Bowl with, and there aren't many other teams hiring me as a defensive coordinator. So like, maybe he just didn't have a choice. Okay, if I want to stay in the NFL, because I don't want to go back to being a positional coach. I'm a defensive coordinator, or I'm done. Like I'm too old to be coaching linebackers how to tackle, right? Like, or whatever his positional job would have been before. But if he didn't have a choice, and this was the spot that was willing to give him a shot as DC, but that was also the condition. I mean, he could have just said no, right? So the fact that he's there. But again, maybe that's not the case. And maybe this is just being sprung on by Sirianni all of a sudden. I would imagine he would at least have discussed it, right? Maybe Fangio's not happy about it. But again, that's his boss. So if that's what Sirianni wants, I mean, he could resign if he doesn't like it, right? Or, you kind of like, when your head coach tells you that, you really don't have a choice.
I think that your perspective is not fluid enough for the offensive, defensive coordinators and head coaches, depending on the amount of prestige they bring to the position. Like,
and also this would require Sirianni to have thought about this and plan. Like you said, he's a 12-year-old, so he probably is just making these decisions on impulse.
Yeah. So
to your point, yeah, it's probably not so great, but I guess that's just me playing devil's advocate to a certain extent. Like, we don't really know what these coaches discuss about, like, in terms of how the inner workings of these staffs are. Burrow's been great, top 5 in a ton of metrics, right? So and they're 3-6.
Yeah.
Got an elite quarterback.
Chase,
Chase, that connection is balling. Like, everything is going good. The defense is solid. They've got good pieces, but things just fall apart. Things just don't work out. Game situations.
Efficiency metrics don't really matter if you're not winning games, at least from the real life point of view.
But I think, like, what Jamie's saying is, like, they've got the QB. Like, some teams are doing bad because they don't have the QB. Like, so that for the Bengals, that's not an excuse. Like, they've got the QB. Why is this?
That's what I said.
I agree with you. I feel like Zach Taylor's definitely overrated as a coach.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not Matt Eberflus bad, but he's also not Matt LaFleur bad.
That's a really low bar.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I still think Matt Eberflus is the worst head coach in the NFL. Like, I thought he was worse than Robert Saleh. So, like, in my mind, in theory, Eberflus should have been fired first. In theory, neither probably should have been made head coach this year. Both those teams probably should have made different decisions in the offseason.
What's he doing in Green Bay?
Consulting with the defense. Okay. I would imagine it's a lot of the pass rush stuff, because one thing that the Green Bay Packers staff defensively, they have a lot of experience at, is defensive backs coach. Like, the defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, that was his specialty, was coaching safeties, cornerbacks. He was a defensive backs coach for the 49ers, and that's where the Shanahan-LaFleur connection tree comes in. And then he was hired to be defensive coordinator and head coach at Boston College. So, like, he's coming from, in his mind, it's secondary first. That's his expertise. Okay. The Packers defensive backs coach from last year was retained, so obviously there's more defensive backs experience. And, like, one of the, I think the passing game coordinator on defense, he also was a defensive backs coach in the NFL before. So they've got a lot of guys with, like, experience coaching the secondary, coaching the defensive backfield. They've got some guys with the, like, more pass rush centric, but you figure adding someone like Saleh to that room, that adds a lot of influence to something where arguably the secondary has been the best part of the Packers, maybe team overall this year. Xavier McKinney.
I mean, balling.
Defensive player of the year candidate.
Yeah.
Leading the league in interceptions. He's barely allowing any catches this year in coverage. He's done exactly what is needed for the Packers. And I mean, like Keyshawn Nixon, I mean, his development from, he was just a kick returner to, last year, because they were struggling so much in the secondary, he had to start playing reps as the nickel corner, playing in the slot. Now he's playing outside corner. Like, Keyshawn Nixon's just every year getting improved, taking new responsibilities on the team and excelling at that. And I think coaching is a big part of that. So, like, maybe if something does need help with the Packers, it is their front seven. Linebackers in coverage. That's been an issue all year. Sam Laporta is probably going to have a huge game again this upcoming week. I mean, that's like Detroit, Green Bay, a fight for first place in the NFC North, which right now, even with the Bears losing on that Hail Mary, is still the best division in football.
What is Jordan Love's status?
I hope he doesn't play, because, like, if he injured his groin bad enough that he couldn't play last week, I don't see how it's going to be, like, 1 week is going to be that much better. Like, he'll be, like, someone's asked this, like, if it's 70% Jordan Love, I'd rather just start Malik Willis and let him get to 100% next week. It's going to be super tough against the Lions. And I was looking up my goal line guide stuff for the week. The Lions' run defense is incredible, but their pass defense in the red zone is much better. So, like, between the 20s, it's one of the best run defenses in the league. But actually, you can run on them near the goal line. That's where they condense things up and like really cover the pass well. But you can actually get them on the ground. And I think one of the ways of doing that is with a mobile quarterback. So if Love's really going to be hampered, that's going to be a huge issue with him getting out of the pocket, him being able to move the pocket with his legs, and also, like, spread this Lions defense out side to side instead of just rushing after him. If he's, like, really immobile, staying in the pocket, that makes him a much easier target for, like, the Lions to just key off on the pass rush. Feels like Malik Willis almost gives them an advantage. And the way Jordan Love, he's missed 2.5 games. He leads the league in interceptions.
Yeah, I saw that.
And, like, most of these interceptions are really stupid decisions. Like, even the one against Jacksonville. it's super tight coverage. Like the defensive back has underneath coverage, and you're throwing like a back shoulder out throw. Like there's no leverage there for your receiver. Like it's not going to work. Don't throw it. And he throws it, and it's an interception. And thank God for Xavier McKinney, because they want to right back and score. Man, team MVP right now for Xavier McKinney. It's not like, because in the CFL there's only 9 teams, so with the awards, every award there's a team nominee for each award, and then you whittle it down to like each division, the 2 finalists, and now those will be the 2 that one of them will win the award. It's not like done like that in the NFL. It's done like that for the Walter Payton Award. Yeah. But like in the CFL, every award is done like that. If it was, I'd give the most outstanding player nominee or most valuable player nominee to Xavier McKinney right now for the Packers. I think he has been their best player.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that especially with the defensive player of the year, it's always name recognition. Like arguably Matt Crosby should have won it like 2 years ago. And I think that TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, who's the other guy?
Watt's had a couple, right? Like there's a couple where he
lost to Garrett.
True. Well, he has. I think TJ Watt's won it though, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, I thought so. I thought he has multiple, actually, doesn't he?
No, I think he has one. I think Garrett has multiples. Garrett has 2, I think.
That might make sense, actually.
I need Max Crosby to go to Detroit, though. I need that to happen soon. Sorry. That would make me happy.
Yeah, Garrett won. Yeah, okay, you're right. TJ Watt just has 1. It's 2021. But, I mean, to your point, and I thought about this too, like, does McKinney have a chance? Like, when was the last defensive back to do it? And I thought, okay, Stephon Gilmore won it a couple years ago. That was 2019. Before that, it was Troy, actually. Troy Polamalu, 2010. Charles Woodson in 2009. So both our teams had defensive player of the years. But then, like, and that's where it happened a little more commonly. But since Troy in 2010, there's literally only been one player to do it as a secondary. So it's always these front 7 guys, and Luke Kuechly that one year just because he got so many tackles. It had to be him, but it's usually a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Actually, the only active player with multiple... Well, actually, I can't even say that anymore. I was going to say Aaron Donald's the only active player with multiple defensive player of the year, but he's retired, so no active player has multiple awards. Interesting. But yeah, talking about the Packers-Lions, potential Max Crosby landing spot. Hopefully not this week. If he's going to do it after the Packers game, please. I don't want Jordan Love to get killed by Max Crosby all of a sudden. But yeah, that's game where if the Packers can win that, they're, I believe, sitting at the top of the NFC North. So
did you see him yelling at Bo Nix? That's awesome. Bo Nix is calling Max Crosby. Bo Nix is
from a couple weeks ago. Okay, not this past week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
well, division rivals, right? And Max is thinking, we may not be division rivals for much longer, so I gotta milk it as much as I can.
Yeah.
But speaking of divisions, currently leading the AFC North are the Pittsburgh Steelers, and can cement that being a full game up on the Ravens if they win tonight against the New York Giants. Unfortunately, the B-League says isn't here to defend his Giants, but Gladys, it's going to be a very pro Pittsburgh talk tonight. Steelers are 6-point favorites in a 37.5 over-under. So, let's get it out of the way. Dan's picking the Giants as 6-point underdogs.
Is he really?
The Giants. Yep.
Oh, Dan.
I'm guessing you're not.
No.
Okay, yeah.
No. No, I'm picking the Steelers and higher.
Okay, so well, just because you said it, let's reveal our trio consensus pick of the week. All 3 of us are going higher on the 37.5.
Yeah, so that is kind of low.
Oh, it's super low. It's the we had a 37.5 with the Titans Dolphins game. What a game. And I mean that hit the higher still, though, as bad as those offenses were. And I think especially Russell Wilson can do enough for the Steelers. Like, they could probably get close to this on their own.
I think so. I hope so.
And then obviously you agree with that, which is why you're going with the Steelers as 6-point favorites, and not just because you're a super biased fan.
Nope. It's because Daniel Jones is still the quarterback.
Jamie's asking if we said, like, this is now the section, Jamie. We were just rambling on for the first 40 minutes of the show. We actually got to it now. But yeah, Jamie's taking Steelers 42, Giants 6. So that would be the Steelers covering the higher all on their own. So clearly Jamie would take the higher and the Steelers as 6-point favorites. So you and Jamie totally in agreement on that. The higher, as soon as I saw that higher, and I mean, it was even lower earlier, it was like 36.5, and we all settled on 37.5. Easy for me to pick the higher. It was the easy thing to do. And then, honestly, I think the hardest thing, like of the 3 picks this week, the only one that was a really decision was this spread. Steelers at 6. I thought, ooh, that's pretty high. Like I was expecting it to be, 3.5. I think even yesterday it was like 3.5. And I was a little surprised on how high it was. But then I went and looked back, and like the Giants. Okay, I've got the results here. Sorry, wrote this down. So the Giants, of their 7 games they've played, they have either won or prevented the other team from covering a 6-point spread in, I believe it's, where do I have that? Yeah, in 4 of the games. So in 4 of the games, like obviously there's games they've either won outright, but the games where they didn't win, they were always within 6, or at least in those 4 instances. And there's 3 games where they got blown out by more than that, including, last week against the Eagles, for instance. Looking at the Steelers, I mean, they're 5-2 this year, and of those 5 wins, all the wins were by more than 6 points. So they've been able to like cover these spreads too, not just win outright, but cover. Obviously, their 2 losses they lost, so they didn't win by 6. But like in their victories this year, the Steelers have been fairly commanding. Like it hasn't been, it's been within they've been like a touchdown score of a lead. So I was actually originally going to take the Giants, but then looking at that stat, seeing how successful the Steelers have been at not just winning games, but by winning by a touchdown, gives me confidence, Gladys, to go with you and Jamie taking the Steelers as 6-point favorites. And we finally have a home favorite. We hadn't had a home favorite in a couple weeks, so may as well take advantage. It was week 5, Chiefs Saints was the last time we had a home favorite. So yeah, so that's I guess I'll keep this piece of paper around. Make noise too. Yeah, it's like a terrible towel. A piece of paper would be an awful towel, right? Like, so it's fitting. That was a terrible joke. So yeah, so we all covered the higher, and like I mentioned, Dan also took the higher. So we're gonna have a consensus pick this week. That's something that hasn't happened since that Chiefs Saints game. We all took the Saints as 5.5-point underdogs, and we got that wrong. So we've gotten how many picks has it been this year? It's been 6 picks where we've all 3 of us have taken the same one. Or 1 in 5 in those instances. So when we all agree something's wrong, now when we got it right, it was on a higher lower. So we've been awful against the spread with it, but when we take higher lower, we've at least had a chance. So this feels like it. Like I said, to me, this was the easiest pick. As soon as I saw it, okay, 37.5, it's so low. Let's take it.
That's really low.
I have enough confidence in Russell Wilson to make it happen, and then Daniel Jones plays too, right? Which I guess that leads us to our prop picks. Gladys took a Daniel Jones prop pick, but of course, as a Steelers fan, it couldn't be a positive Daniel Jones prop, could it?
It is positive. I'm positive he's going to have more than a half interception.
Fair enough. Yeah, and for you, that would be a positive outlook.
Yes, it would.
And I know, like you were talking maybe of a rivals pick, rivals pick of like his passing yards, right?
The passing yards, yeah, that's what I was going to go with, but
you don't have enough confidence that he'll keep up with Russell Wilson.
Well, wait, what? So Russell Wilson is higher. So
yeah. So you said it was 17.
No, I mean with Malik Neighbors and Wandell, I think that he'll have over 200 passing yards. I think the confidence is with Russell Wilson. I don't know if he will pass Jones by 17 yards.
Fair enough. I mean? Okay, like you were considering taking Russell Wilson.
Right, yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, and I mean, to that point, more than the rivals, Dan just went and took the straight passing yards over on Russell Wilson.
He took Russell Wilson?
Yeah, just not taking the rivals, but he just took his passing yards.
Higher than?
So when he locked it in, it was 190.5. I think it's gotten, like you said, it's gotten to over 200 now.
Yeah, it's 203.5 now. But
now, I remember him talking about on his live stream, though, which dropped, I believe, yesterday. Or no, I think it dropped today, actually. It might have dropped yesterday. Who knows? He was talking about how, he was shocked that it was that low, like it was that 190, and he would still take it into the 200s. So even at 203, I think Dan would still take it. But we'll give him the fact that he locked it in at 190.5.
Yeah, he locked it in at 190.
He called that Wednesday.
Oh my God, Jamie's like insane today. Jamie's like
today.
Jamie's like having that.
The highest alternate higher is 49.5. So he's not betting it.
He's having that. What is it called? Like the afterglow of the Cleveland win, like when you're not thinking correctly because you're.
I think you had an afterglow. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's kind of hazy because you're so.
Yeah, because you're so happy. He needs to calm down. He needs to calm down.
And the Taylor Swift song.
Yeah, exactly.
Pickens, he's smoking something because Pickens.
Yeah, exactly. 420 yards. That's the one I saw.
And that will win me the matchup in the FPC Dynasty against Gator after I traded my second for J.K. Dobbins from Gator, only for him to put Raheem Mostert in the lineup as a response.
Well, I'm playing against a guy who has Pickens, but I looked and I apparently have 4 Steelers. I have Wilson, Najee, Steelers defense, and the kicker. So, but I am behind.
There's your interception. Right there. That will help.
I need that.
I'm playing against Daniel Jones in like 3 leagues. So
You're playing against Daniel Jones?
Yeah, in 3 leagues I've got going up against Daniel Jones. So in some of these, it's just like, okay, just don't.
Is that their number 1 quarterback? Was that in all 3 leagues? That's their number 1 quarterback was Daniel Jones?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of leagues I play in are super flex, so it's.
Oh, okay.
I imagine it's they're QB2 in a lot of those instances. Najee 600 yards and 11 touchdowns. I'm not sure he's getting 11 touchdowns on the whole season. But drugs are fun. Good job.
Yeah, they are.
Not all drugs. Some drugs are actually incredibly dangerous and super addictive. So don't be like heroin.
Okay, kids, don't.
No heroin.
No heroin.
You probably don't need cocaine either. It's also pretty bad for your heart, and it's not as addictive as heroin apparently, or as alcohol or cigarettes, but it's probably way worse. So yeah, just smoke.
Just don't do it.
You see, and I'm in the Speak On It league. I'm playing against Danny, and I've got like a 2.5 point league, and he has TJ Watt. So I'm kind of hoping can the Giants just triple block him on every play, take a sack, doesn't matter. Just don't let TJ Watt accumulate any stats, please. That's my one hope to remain 7-1 in that league. So I've had a pretty good season, and I don't think I'll still be first place even with the loss.
Yeah,
it's if I can get 7-1, that first round bye is becoming incredibly solidified. So definitely hoping TJ and I mean, Watt will tackle. Has he ever had 69 tackles in a season?
No, I don't think so.
You see, I don't think so either. He probably gets about 50 tackles a year. I'm gonna look it up though. I have no idea. No. Oh, you know what? I'm right. His career high in tackles is 68, and he did it twice. So yes, he has never had 69 tackles in a season.
Oh my God, Jamie.
Yeah, I guess that, and again, that brings up last week's results. I can't remember if we mentioned it for the listeners, Gladys, or we talked about it just before we came on. But last week was not a good week for the doubleheaders, especially in the props department. Combined between you, myself, and Dan, our 6 props we picked, we went 1 and 5. We got one of them right collectively between the 3 of us. And it was painfully close. Like Gladys, you had Trey McBride at 5.5 catches. He had 5. I had Lamar Jackson at 52.5 rushing yards. He had 52. So a couple of them we were super close and just missed it.
Last week was crazy. It was a crazy week.
Lamar didn't get his rushing touchdown. Lamar, I mean, the rivals, right? Dan went rivals last week, and guess what? Baker outthrew Lamar because they were in catch-up mode and they had no choice. He ended up I think outthrowing him by 100 yards when it was minus 28, or I guess he picked Jackson at plus 28. So if he was within 28 yards, he would have hit it, but he was not that close. So
wait, what now?
Showing the risk of the rivals. If he had just went Lamar over on his yards, I think he would have got it, right? So
like he did tonight, right?
Exactly, right? Not taking the risk on the rivals, just go with Russell Wilson.
Wait, what was your prop for tonight?
Oh, right, yeah. Wearing the Canadian cap for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, here's the score. Okay, so Daniel Jones, negative 180 passing yards and minus 3 touchdowns. He's going to accidentally run it into his own end zone and give the Steelers 3 touchdowns.
Wouldn't that just be a safety?
Yeah, I know. Well, he'll probably fumble on the way doing it, and then he'll recover the touchdown. But you're right, it would just be a safety, actually. It's not like basketball, if you scored in your own net, it counts as the same. Steelers 117, Giants minus 21. So and there's where those 3 negative touchdowns come in play. They actually get negative points somehow. But no, Theo Johnson, Canadian rookie, who's from Canada and a rookie in the NFL with the Giants, tight end. Jamie and I love him because he's got a super high relative athletic score. And I think that's what leans me into the specific prop I'm taking. So I looked and there were 2 available. 1.5 catches, 13.5 receiving yards. And I went, at first I was thinking, 1.5 catches. Ooh, that looks great. He's done that twice so far. The rest of the year, he catches like 1 catch a game. So only 2 games has he actually hit that.
Now I'm thinking, Malik Neighbors in or out?
Neighbors is in. Did those games come with? Yeah, you're right. You know what? And I think those might have been the games that Neighbors was out for. So that one, I'm thinking that might not be as likely. He could catch 1 pass for 14 yards and hit it because of his athleticism, like yards after the catch ability. And I think I'd rather bank on that than just the volume. Even if the volume needed is 2 catches, that's still not enough. But yeah, he had 8 catches combined in those 2 games that Neighbors missed, I believe.
So what are you picking?
Sorry?
What's your pick?
So Theo Johnson higher than 13.5 receiving yards. Going with the Canadian. The 1 week where we had that Dolphins game and I didn't take the Canadian pick, I regretted it because Holland actually did hit high. He hit 2 assisted tackles. If I went with that 1.5 assisted tackles, I would have. Well, I'm still in the lead right now, but I'd actually be above 500. I'm currently 15-15 on the year. So I've gone and perfectly even across the board. I'm 5 for 5 on spreads, 5 for 5 on higher lowers, 5 for 5 on 5 and 5 on props. So I'm perfectly balanced.
Amazingly consistently balanced. That's awesome.
For sure. So and I done well the last couple weeks, I gotta say. Gladys, you're at 12-18 on the season, and Dan's at 11-19. So you better be careful; he'll catch you. But I guess shout out to me. I mean, I went 4 for 6 last week. So 4 right, 2 wrong. I mentioned the Lamar Jackson. I did pick the lower on that Ravens-Bucks game and at 49.5, and they smashed that over it wasn't even close. So kudos to you for. Oh, wait a minute. No, kudos to Dan who Dan picked the higher on that one. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Dan went double higher last week. I went double lower, and 1 game went higher, 1 game went lower. So it was 50-50 for that. But I actually went 3 for 3 in the Cardinals game. The one prop of ours that hit last week was Kyler Murray's rushing yards. He doubled it up too. So that one he smashed by. It's 32.5 rushing yards. I think he had 64, honestly. So that one was great. I went lower on that Cardinals Chargers game. And Dan and I did go Cardinals as 1.5 point underdogs, and they ended up winning. So that got that Cardinals game pretty good. I think it's only the second game any of us have gone 3 for 3 on. And the other one was me in the Bills-Jets game. So I've had that's kind of what's giving me the edge to take the bit of a lead here by 3 points right now. Now, okay, Jamie's time for some real talk here. His real, actual, legit, accurate parlay is Russell Wilson 200 yards passing. Russell Wilson +1. I'm gonna guess passing touchdown. Maybe it's rushing actually. Just let me know if I'm wrong there, Jamie. Najee Harris 40 yards rushing. Pickens 50 yards receiving, and the odds are +168. Just a full Steelers parlay. What do you think, Gladys?
200 passing, Russell 1+. What's 1+ touchdown mean?
Yeah, Jamie, is that passing or rushing touchdowns?
Najee 40 rushing, Pickens 40 receiving. I think the Pickens is safe. I think the Najee's pretty safe.
It's a passing touchdown.
Wilson, I think it's a safe parlay. Although, I mean, I think the Giants' defense is grossly underrated just because all the attention's on how bad
Drew Lock is, which is why they're not even letting. This is why they're letting Daniel Jones just stink up the joint every game.
So sad.
Man, Tommy DeVito. Heck, this team could have had Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke would have been better. Then it would have given me another Canadian pick props from. Come on, Giants. At least I got Theo Johnson.
At least you have Theo Johnson.
And Brian Daboll's actually born in Canada.
Really?
Yeah. He grew up in the States with his grandparents, but I'm pretty sure was born in like near Toronto.
Okay.
So Actually, should I switch my pick and take the Giants just because they have a Canadian coach now?
Yep, you should.
You're just saying that so you can catch up to me. You know the Steelers will win, right?
Yep, I do.
Now, you told me to pick Holland as a way to try and screw me over, and that actually I should have listened to you. So maybe I should.
I wasn't trying to screw you over then. I told you pick the Canadian because you usually pick the Canadian.
Yeah, he's born in Welland.
I don't know what that means.
No, Welland, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
It's near. I think it's near Niagara Falls.
Are we talking about Dable again?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Oh, okay.
But yeah, it looks like he was raised in. Heck, he might have been raised in Buffalo. So West Seneca, New York. I don't know if that's near Buffalo or not. I guess it's not. That's actually. I guess that's closer to the. Hey, I might have driven through there to get to Canton the one year I went to the Expo.
You think they have like a plaque on his house where he grew up, where he was born? Brian Dable?
Well, I mean, that would be in Welland, so that I could get to, I suppose, more easily. I don't really want to go that far south, though. It's too far south. I mean, it is snowing, so maybe I should go south. But yeah, Dante Banks sucks. Sorry, Gladys.
Oh, I don't. Why are you sorry?
Oh, sorry that Jamie's criticizing the Steelers player. So
oh, yeah.
Sorry they traded Deontay Johnson away for that shitty corner.
I'm sorry. Deontay Banks is leading the team with 3 interceptions too. So.
We've seen that though, like where a really bad corner he gets so many opportunities that eventually he picks 1 or 2 off, but also allows like huge coverage blow.
Yeah, because they're not going to throw it the other side.
So again, target this guy's right.
Exactly.
Now, Pickens ranks 7th in yards per route run and averages 0.45 fantasy points per route. Deontay Banks allowed the most. Deontay Banks. Sorry, that's the Giants corner. Yeah, my mistake. Who's the Steelers guy that they traded Deontay for?
Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson. That's why the Deontay thing was throwing me off. Sorry, but yeah. Has allowed the most fantasy points per route to receivers this season. Giants corner, 0.42 yards per route run, which is actually lower than Pickens' average. So, like, that's crazy. Banks also allowed a 70.7% catch rate and given up 4 touchdowns on the season. So yeah, way worse than Dante Jackson. So there you go. That's not so bad after all. Lowered the expectations slightly. It doesn't seem so bad after all.
I just need their front 4 to collapse.
Ben Skoranek is on the Steelers.
Wait, what?
Ben Skoranek. I didn't realize signed with the Steelers. That's hilarious. He hasn't done anything for them, but he's on the team.
No one's done anything for him except Pickens and Pat Freeman.
But he literally 0 catches, nothing. Doesn't have any stats accumulated. In fact, he has a tackle this year. He has a tackle, but he doesn't have any targets. Good old Ben Skoranek.
Classic Skoranek.
Yeah. So, anything else? So, is there something you want to talk about that we haven't discussed yet for the Steelers game today?
I think I've already done my rant of how crazy. Oh no. Hold on. The squeaky toy. Not
the squeaky toy.
I can't get it from her. How crazy the NFL is with everything, just everything. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel good to watch games this year for some reason. I don't know why.
So Jamie just got a notification for a trade offer. So now it's the checking of the excitement of, I could make a move other than only to be disappointed by, this is awful. I'm not doing this move.
Did you send me a trade offer? Another one?
Yeah. I was I spammed the league for see if I get a 4th for Dearness Johnson.
Okay, no. All right.
Well, that's the thing. I got some rejections, but I actually got a lot of non-responses, so I don't really know how to take it. I mean, he's a running back who's getting touches, right?
Right.
If you need a running back, you can put him in your lineup. But that's it now. So that was the thinking: is he even worth a 4th? And now I've kind of got my answer that he's probably not. So that was more. It's kind of I've been trying to do it in a couple of leagues actually because he actually is my most rostered dynasty player. So I took a couple leagues. I did the same thing in another league last week where I just spammed the whole league for a 4th and see if anyone will even respond. And I got a couple responses, but a lot of people just ignore that one.
Yeah,
So Jamie got it too. So Jamie knows all about
it. Okay. I'm that person in the league that people kind of hate because one, I very seldom trade. I don't know why. It's just.
I mean, you and I've completed trades before, so it's.
Yeah, and two, I hardly ever notice when someone wants to trade. Like the only reason I notice the Pickens Hill thing is because it comes to my email for some reason, and it just keeps coming. If it doesn't come to my email, I'd probably because I don't get notifications on any league that I'm in, and or Twitter. I only get email notifications, so yeah, I don't know what's going on most of the time.
So like when you check for because I use Sleeper on the desktop, so like on the app, like where do like if you go to the league and check your lineup, can you see if you've gotten a trade offer there?
I have to go to my team. I have to go to team roster.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's like, I mean, I check my dynasty teams like almost every day, if not every day, right? So like,
you check your why?
Just to see. I mean, if
to
someone
see if you got a trade offer or something.
Well, yeah. I mean, some leagues, yeah, just to see, but also just to is there a player that's out that I need to know about it? Like, are there any IR violations I want to deal with, and just kind of where their players drops. Also check the league. Yeah, just
I check on Tuesday to see if there's a waiver wire I want to put in or something, and then I check again on Thursday, and then I don't really check again.
Yeah, I check a lot Friday and Saturday because like that's the day when like all the injury reports come out. We really find out, okay, our player's questionable going into the week, and like that's the days where I'm really preparing. Like, okay, what do I have to? Okay, are there Monday players? So like I'm always checking, especially Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I don't do that. I do that Sunday morning before I go into work.
Well, and I think part of it is with me doing live stream Sunday morning. I can't really do it Sunday morning. Like I've got to have that all prepared, ready to go. It's just simply execute. Like I already know, okay, if this player's out, I've already decided who's going in for it.
Like the T. Higgins thing. I didn't think he was gonna play, but I don't. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you don't.
Well, this week it was Kittle, right? Kittle was questionable Sunday night, so like there's a couple leagues where I went and picked up Theo Johnson in a redraft league just to have an extra tight end playing on a Monday night.
But I don't have any Kittle. I have T. Higgins. T. Higgins was questionable all week.
So those are things that again I want to try and do Saturday. Like I fill out a start sit spreadsheet for like the tough start sit decisions, and that's stuff I all fill out Saturday. So like I'm constantly in the leagues checking, even if it's just to check like.
So in your leagues, if you can pick up people on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
See, I'm in like two of the leagues I'm in. If you put a waiver wire in after Thursday, it doesn't go until the next week.
Well, I mean, some leagues have first come, first serve after the waivers, right? Like the waiver runs, and then from then on, the rest of the week, you want to go grab a player, you can just pick them up.
That would be great. I was in a league like that. I was in a league where it was first come, first serve, and I get up at 4:30 in the morning, so I was always the first one, and they changed the rules, so now it's like it is no longer first come, first serve.
Well, I mean, I wake up at 5:30 normally on a Wednesday morning anyway, so like I'm also going to put like just after waivers have run who's available. But yeah, there's like in the FPC Dynasty League, we have daily waivers. So like there's a waiver run Thursday, there's a waiver run Friday, there's a waiver run Saturday, right? So like any days of those weeks, you can still put waiver claims in and get them. Like there's like Wednesday through Saturday, there's a waiver claim every day. And then the waivers run Saturday at 10 a.m. for you. After that, it's first come, first serve for the rest of Saturday and the rest of Sunday till the game logs. And so even players who are available Monday are like those are still first come, first serve.
And that's in the FPC Dynasty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you have the Wednesday waiver run.
Right.
But then there's also, one on Thursday, one on Friday, and then another one Saturday, and then first come afterwards. So
okay. That's good.
But let's get let's end the drama with this Jamie trade. People suck at trading, so okay, it was a bad trade. They want DeAndre Swift for a late 23, 5/3, and Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, that's pretty trash. Marshawn Lloyd. I mean, honestly, the way Josh Jacobs is playing, I know that it was like looking at the contract. It's okay. He's only got guarantees this first year, so the Packers after this year can cut him, even though it's a 4-year contract. So like, if Jacobs didn't perform well this year, he wasn't going to be on the team next year. But he's doing well enough that I think they will probably want to keep him, which leaves Marshawn Lloyd as a backup at best. And then from there, it's okay. Does he maybe have a chance to start in 2026? And then he's got that year, and then 27 before the end of his rookie contract, and he's not good, the Packers could easily go in a different direction. Heck, like might move on from Jacobs and go in a different direction anyway, and he's still the backup, right? So like, what's Marshawn Lloyd's, where's his value? Like, when's he starting, right? Like, yeah, DeAndre Swift definitely better. I agree, Jamie. Pretty trash trade. Do you agree, Gladys?
This is in our dynasty league.
I don't know if it's our dynasty league. It's one of Jamie's.
DeAndre Swift for a late 2025 third and Marshawn Lloyd. DeAndre Swift had 2 really good games against 2 really bad run defenses. I don't know. I mean, I personally am not as high on DeAndre Swift as others are.
Well, he's had 4 really good games in a row.
Yeah.
The first 3 games of the season were trash, but he's actually done well the last 4 weeks, I'm pretty sure. I'll check to double check that. I'll check to double check. I gotta double say it every time I double check.
What is happening?
I don't know. I'm being silly. So yeah, so these are his fantasy points the first 3 weeks: 5 points, 8.2, 6.3. Then he's gone 30.5, 21, 22.9, and then this past week 21.4. So he's actually had 4 really good games. One was against the Rams, the Panthers, the Jags, and the Command. Okay, those are all trash defenses.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's a fair point. Cardinals, Patriots, Packers, those are also not good run defenses. Then it gets end of season, it's tough. Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks. So you get a really good run defense again in championship week. So yeah, but I think that's still 3 more weeks of you're for sure starting Swift probably the next 3 weeks. When are you starting Marshawn Lloyd? Like, what does that do to your roster?
Again, for late 20. Oh, that's next year. 2025 next year. No, I would not. But again,
because like I'm thinking, what can you do with that 25 third? Like, even if you wanted to get it just to trade it, like you might get a spot. Like you could get a Mason Rudolph if you really need a quarterback in Superflex, right? Like those are the type of quarterbacks you could buy for a third, probably, is those spot starters. Like, okay, they're gonna, like a Malik Willis, right? Like, if someone might not even sell Malik Willis for a third, but like in theory, those are the types of things you can get with a third. I find like that's about as best as you're gonna get, right? Like, because any just random spot start, right? Like a Dearness Johnson, like I mean, you could get a third for him clearly, because I was trying to sell him for a fourth and couldn't get that. So if someone you want Dearness Johnson, send me a third for sure. You get it. Like, that's really not impacting the lineup much, right? Like, a quarterback, sure. Like, I need a starter, and there's a starter available for a third. That's about as much impact you're going to get on the third, right? So, like, that's like, is Swift worth just a random 1 week spot start for a backup quarterback? As like best case scenario of what you're going to do with this third.
Well, I think as soon as they, I don't know, Swift has to be, I think, kind of really good offensive line or play a really shitty defense.
And he's not going to have a good offensive line in Chicago this year.
So he has to have a really bad defense that is playing him. And I think once Caleb Williams gets his feet under him, I think Swift's value is going to drop too, because he's got those receiving options and Cole Kmet. I mean,
well, that's like Swift didn't even have a target this past week against Washington. Right. So also game planning and usage, like honestly, one of his best skill sets is catching the ball in space. Like his best week this year, he caught 7 of 7 for 72 yards. And then he also he had 93 yards on the ground. He had a touchdown. And like, that's the one thing, like Swift has a touchdown in 4 straight weeks too. So I think the idea of maybe selling Swift off this makes sense, but like get something good. Jamie's saying game is starting, so we have to shut up.
Okay.
Is what he's saying. So I'll just recap the picks real quick.
Okay.
So again, Giants at Steelers. Steelers are 6-point favorites, 37.5 higher, lower. So Gladys, the Steelers fan, taking the Steelers. Dan, the Giants fan, taking the Giants. Can I pick the Packers? No, I can't. I am going to take the Steelers. So that was a tough decision. We're all taking the higher on the 37.5. And for our prop picks, 2 quarterback picks and a Canadian tight end. Look at that. Gladys going Daniel Jones higher than an interception. A Giants player, but a pro Steelers pick. Dan, not a Giants player, a pro Steelers player. Russell Wilson higher than 190.5 passing yards. And I'm going the Canadian Theo Johnson higher than 13.5 receiving yards. So love the Canadian rookie tight end. Ooh, Keely joined us. What's up, dude? Thanks for joining the Monday stream. I think he sometimes joins speak on it, but yeah, he's on the Monday night stream. That's awesome. And I mean, it's funny because I know Keely loves DeAndre Swift, right? So we had nothing to say. I mean, he's a Steelers fan too, Gladys. Nothing to say about the Steelers all episode. This DeAndre Swift trash trade, it irked him so much he just had to comment. Minimum a second he's worth, he says. So he's on a contract for 2 years after this. So as Caleb gets better and the offense gets better, like which we saw just before the bye week, that Caleb was doing better and Swift was benefiting from the offense being better. Right. So yeah. So I guess maybe what's with everyone waving pea-colored towels around? Like Jamie doesn't know about the Steelers in the AFC North. Haha, funny, Jamie.
Sticks could be out for the season.
Yeah. As soon as I saw it happen, I thought he tore his ACL and he's out for the season.
Oh, really? It was not.
It looked like he's just pulls up all of a sudden, can't put any weight on it at all. Like it looked bad to me.
Okay. So no Diggs, no. Who are they playing this week?
They play the Jets on Thursday.
Oh, good God.
Hey, Canadian John Mechie might make an impact. But yeah, I do agree with Akili. Like you got to get it. If it was straight up Swift for a 20. You know what? If you replace that third with a second and say it's a 25 second and Marshawn Lloyd, and you try and just stash Marshawn Lloyd, or heck, take out Lloyd and just say a second and a third, that I'd probably do. So, I mean, you could always try and counter Jamie, see if he's willing to just take out Marshawn Lloyd entirely if you don't like him and just say a second and a third. Even move the third to 26 if it helps, kind of thing. So that's kind of how I go about it. So maybe worth a counter. Akili though, he's got some props he wants to share. I mean, it's too late to lock them in now, but Najee over 70 yards rushing and a touchdown. Russ throwing for 2 touchdowns, so he would also like that.
And I need neither of those to go to Pickens, and I'll be set. I will win that league this week.
Well, best of luck to you, Gladys. Best of luck to your Steelers. Again, the AFC North Division title, or at least the division lead, is on the line here.
Yeah, we got this. This.
It's Daniel Jones. I can understand your confidence for sure. Sure, Achilles thinking the same thing, right, dude? Like, I bet Achilles. There's no way we lose to Daniel Jones. There's no way.
Don't say that, because then we will.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I didn't say it. I'm saying that Achilles made me thinking it, so I didn't actually say those words out loud. That was a thought bubble.
Okay.
Oops.
Thought bubble.
Yeah, bad thought.
This
whole joke was a bad thought of mine. I should have just ended the stream there before I said that. Sorry, folks. I've been terrible jokes tonight for the terrible towels, as Jamie's.
And I'm done.
Pea-colored towels for the win. We'll end on that message. But thanks, Akili, for joining. Thank you, Jamie. And thank you, Gladys. You're such an amazing co-host. I always love.
That's bullshit, but thank you for saying that.
Oh, you're welcome. I actually think you're awesome.
Thanks.
I'm also weird though, so maybe my opinion is very skewed by strangeness. So.
That's a valid point there.
But it's genuine. I do genuinely think you're amazing. So even if I'm a weirdo, I still think you're amazing.
Thanks. You were amazing, Kyle.
Oh, thank you, Gladys. And you're not a weirdo, so that really means something.
Well, you guys, and anyone's listening, should really read The Goal Line. Like, I mean, his other stuff is really great too, but The Goal Line is so helpful. So fucking helpful.
Yeah. I mean, not a shock. The Goal Line guide saying Justin Jefferson's amazing, so you should play him this week. But like legit, I'm gonna rank him as number 1 wide receiver again this week. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Who are they playing?
Doesn't matter. No. Whoever they're playing, their pass defense is bad.
Okay. I'm on it.
And their run defense is actually really solid. Who are they playing? Oh, the Colts. Oh, no, sorry. Their run defense is really good inside the red zone and near the goal line. Their run defense is actually atrocious outside the red zone. But that also means as things get condensed. And I mean, to be fair, inside the 5, the Vikings have been much better at passing. They've got 1 rushing touchdown inside the 5 this year. They have 5 passing touchdowns from that.
Is Hawkinson back this week? Wait. Yeah.
You know what? He probably will because they were thinking he was going to be back on Thursday. But you see, I think Jefferson's role is his role. He's going to, whatever amount of targets he commands every week, that's going to remain unchanged. Hawkinson coming back probably screws everyone else. Like Addison has had the up and down weeks, but expect a lot of the weeks like we just saw this week, down weeks like that. Jalen Naylor probably becomes unplayable at this point. Like,
I know.
like all the other options, they're the ones that get hurt. But I think whatever Jefferson, because Jefferson hasn't had a huge abundance of targets too. Like, oh, he's getting 22 targets like Garrett Wilson. Like, he's got his role. They're going to be comfortable giving him that every week, and it seems like he'll just produce on, the 10 targets he gets every week, and it's going to remain like 10 targets every week. So, Hawkinson coming back doesn't bother me for Jefferson. I'm good. I still think he's the number one receiver, at least on a most week basis, and probably rest of the season too. Certainly this week, the goal line guide is saying especially good week for Justin Jefferson. Like this may be a strong DFS week for Jefferson.
Wait, Steelers just scored, I think.
Already, it's already started. Touchdown to Pickens.
Oh no, was it the Pickens?
That's what Jamie's saying.
Fuck. Damn it.
Well, them scoring so quickly is good news for the Steelers -6 and for the higher. So at least you might get those. And the Steelers winning is the most important part, right?
Yeah, that's what's important.
It was called back.
Touchdown nullified by penalty. Oh, face mask. Come on. All right, bye.
we should have ended 5 minutes ago. We wouldn't have had to experience all that live. But thank you, folks, for this collective experience on the Going for Two Monday Night Football live stream. Our Monday night pregame show called the 2-point conversion. Sorry, the title's so long. I interrupted over Gladys' outro. But thank you, Gladys.
Bye, everyone. Have a good week. Have a good Halloween. Have a good Halloween Thursday.
Halloween. And we'll be next episode will be in November next week.
Yeah. And if anyone has their dog dressed up, send me your pictures. I want to see pictures of dogs dressed up for Halloween.
Don't care about your kids dressed up. Your dog's dressed up, that's the best.
God, no. I don't want to see kids dressed up. Unless they're Doc's daughter or B-League's daughter and son. Other than that, no.
That's true. What if they're dressed up as a dog?
Then it would be perfect. And that's perfect. Yeah. Or dogs dressed up as kids. That's perfect too. I'll take it.
But a dog has to be involved in the costume, whether it's the costume itself or the creature wearing the costume. But,
thank you. That is.
Send those all to Gladys on. Oops, meant to take the comment off. On Gladys L. Tyler on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it says
send them.
And, thank you, Jeff, for the Going for Two live platform where we can talk about all this stuff that we want to and ramble on for hours and hours on end. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Couldn't do it with a better co-host. So thank you, Gladys.
No, I couldn't. You're welcome. And thank you. And I will see you guys later. I'm gonna go. I probably won't feed my dogs now because. Oh wait, maybe Boswell gets yes. Boswell 3 points. I got it. I'll take that. I have him too. Bye, guys.